It has been said that the only constant is change. Just when you think that life is good, it suddenly throws a curveball at you. And something you had never envisaged, something you had never anticipated. But it turns your entire situation, your work life, your professional and personal life, your relationships, your entire dreams topsy turvy. Hello and welcome. I am Seema Sahai, Lasting Impressions Coach, and today I'm going to discuss a very interesting and a very inspiring book. It is an iconic bestseller and it is called Who Moved My Cheese? So, a lot of people, a lot of you must have heard about it. A lot of you must have read it since it is such a famous book. In fact, it is one of the most successful business books ever written. Now, this was published in 1998, and till this day, it has a continuing appeal. Now, on the surface, this is a simple story, but it is a parable, which means that this simple story has a very powerful underlying message. So the book opens with a reunion of four friends, and these four friends are meeting after ages, and they discuss how all of them resist change in any form. So they are always fearful of changes taking place in their lives, and they always dread it. So one of the friends called Michael says that yes, he also used to resist change. He was fearful of any changes taking place, and one day he heard the story, a very interesting story, and that made him welcome change in his life. So this story is called "Who Moved My Cheese," the title of this book, and and Michael goes on to narrate the story, and it has four characters. The story has four characters. Two of them are mice, and two of them are people, humans, and who are called little people in the book. Favorite pastime of these four characters was running around a maze and looking for their favorite cheese. Now, through their hard work and using their brains and using a trial and error method, they did ultimately succeed in finding their cheese. And the two little people were they grew accustomed to this cheese, and they thought it was their right, and they also thought that nothing and nobody could take away this cheese from them, and there was no there would always be this cheese for them throughout their lives. However, in contrast, Sniff and Scurry, the two mice, they anticipated that there would not be an unending supply of cheese ever, and one day the supply would get exhausted. So they were prepared for this, and when this actually happened, when the cheese got over, they as they had anticipated, they were ready for the change, and they set off in the maze uh, looking for some new cheese. And ultimately, through their hard work again, they found the new cheese. However, these two little people, they were very angry when the cheese got over. They thought that they deserved it, and that it would always be there for them. So they did not look for any new cheese. They had not anticipated this change. They had not anticipated that their favorite cheese would end, and so they remained hungry and they remained angry. So, on the surface, as I said, this seems like a simple story, but it actually holds an age-old wisdom. All the characters in this story, all the objects and the situations in this story are they stand for they are a metaphor for something much deeper. They have a much deeper meaning. For example, cheese is something that we desire in our life. It could be a cushy job. It could be a lot of wealth, good health. It could be good relationships. Anything that we desire, all our goals represents the cheese. Whereas the maze is the place where we are looking for this cheese. So it could be your workplace, it could be your society, your community, it could be amongst your family, amongst your friends, anywhere. And that is the maze we are constantly traveling in looking for cheese. And So, and when we find it, ultimately, we become complacent and we start taking it for granted. So we think that this cheese is ours forever, and that means that nothing is going to change. We will always remain in this state of bliss. So nothing could be further from the truth because change is inevitable. There is nothing that is permanent, it is always in a flux. Our lives are always in a flux. So the earlier we realize it, the better it is for us. And some people can adapt to it fast, some people can't. And what this book drives home very powerfully is that we must learn to embrace, we must learn to first anticipate change, then adapt to it, and finally embrace it, and if possible, even enjoy it. And it is useless to think about the future and have needless fears about it. So that will only hamper one's growth, and nothing comes out of worry. In fact, this book has a lot of memorable quotes that the author Johnson has used, and there are several of them, and I'll just read out a few. It says over here, these are the quotes. It says that if you do not change, you can become extinct. Very simply written, but such a powerful message, which we keep forgetting all the time. Then later on, he says, smell the cheese often, so you know when it is getting old. That means be prepared for change, because change is what will make you grow. So go with the flow, and be prepared for the mishaps and misfortunes that might face you, and learn from the mistakes, learn from those challenges, and do not remain stuck in the past. Just move on. And there is no need to fear change. If we have this kind of an attitude, we will always learn how to adapt and embrace change. And this book is only about 90 odd pages. It is a very fast, a very quick read, and immensely readable also, because it is written in a very conversational style. And I personally have had a lot of learnings from this book. So one of the major learnings is, of course, that change is inevitable. One day you might have your dream job, and the next day you might be shown the pink slip. That happens. And the next is anticipate change, which is very true of today's, the present times, the pandemic. Everything is in a flux. Everything is changing. Learn to adapt and always keep monitoring the change. What is happening in your life? What is happening around you? And for example, in the present times, everything, all your learning, all your businesses, all your work has gone online. All of us are constantly working online. And if a person does not adapt to technology, to the changing times, that person will be left behind. So that is a very important message which the book conveys through its story. And the third and the most important message, of course, is that, of course, we must adapt to the change, but also, if possible, learn to enjoy it. So, when we embrace change, we should also look forward to the challenges in life. Every problem needs to be seen as a challenge that can be solved, and every problem will then become a learning experience for us, and then our lives will grow, our mindsets will change, and we will no longer dread the future. So these learnings have been very important for me, which the author has very succinctly and very powerfully driven home through this book. So guys, if you haven't read this book, go ahead and read it, and I guarantee that you will find new meanings each time you read the book. And stay tuned for another review of another powerful book, and do subscribe. Also visit my Facebook page called Expressions, and my Facebook group called Creating Magnetic Presences. And I would love to have you there. So thank you and happy reading. Bye bye.